Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. I'm not gay. This video is about Ezekiel 29 and Ezekiel 30. Ezekiel 29 is about a prophecy against Egypt and judgment on Pharaoh. Ezekiel 30 is a lament over Egypt. And I'm going to read through it first, and then I'm going to explain it briefly. Okay. Because we're kind of in a rush here these days because of the exact situation, which is causing me to kind of go through Ezekiel more quickly. But it doesn't really matter because the Bible isn't the source of information for mankind. I'm the source of information, right? The Royal African Falcon Martial Art Order. There's a reason why they're addressing Egypt again and again in the Bible, because the authors of the Bible have a chip on their shoulder when it comes to Egyptians. Okay, it's like the white man and the rich Jew and the rich LGBT having a chip on their shoulder when it comes to black people. So they kind of chop it up to calling them all the N-word, or saying that, that they're primitive or things like this, and ignoring the elephant in the room, which is why we're here and who knows why we're here, and martial arts and love and God and being a soul brother and so on and so forth. Okay. And again, I'm not a racial supremacist, I'm a moral supremacist. And we got to kind of touch on these issues because even this chapter is about a prophecy against Egypt. In the 10th year, in the 10th month, on the 12th day, the word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, set your face against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and prophesy against all Egypt. Speak to him and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I'm against you, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, you great monster lying among your streams. You say the Nile belongs to me. I made it for myself, but I will put hooks in your jaws and make the fish of your stream stick to your scales. I will pull you out from among your streams with all the fish sticking to your scales. I will leave you in the desert, you and all the fish of your streams. You will fall in the open field and not be gathered or picked up. I will give you as food to the beasts, so the beasts of the earth and the birds of the sky. Then all who live in Egypt will know that I am the Lord. You have been a staff of reed for the people of Israel. When they grasped you with their hands, you splintered, and you tore open their shoulders when they leaned on you. You broke, and their backs were wrenched. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will bring a sword against you and kill both man and beast. Egypt will become a desolate wasteland, and you will know that I am the Lord. Because you said the Nile is mine, I made it, therefore I am against you and against your streams, and I will make the land of Egypt a ruin and a desolate waste from Migdol to Aswan, as far as the border of Cush. The foot of neither man nor beast will pass through it, no one will live there for 40 years. I will make the land of Egypt desolate among devastated lands, and her cities will lie desolate 40 years among ruined cities, and I will disperse the Egyptians among the nations and scatter them through the countries. Yet this is what the sovereign Lord says. At the end of 40 years I will gather the Egyptians from the nations where they were scattered. I will bring them back from captivity and return them to Upper Egypt, the land of their ancestry. There they will be a lowly kingdom. It will be the lowliest of kingdoms and will never again exalt itself above the other nations. I will make it so weak that it will never again rule over the nations. Egypt will no longer be a source of confidence for the people of Israel, but will be a reminder of their sin in turning to her for help. Then they will know that I am the sovereign Lord. Okay, really quickly, that is about the pagan deities of Egypt not ruling over people, and it's not about universal pinpointing moral precision, and God is the center of universal pinpointing moral precision. Nebuchadnezzar's reward. In the 27th year, in the first month, on the first day, the word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, drove his army in a hard campaign against Tyre. Every head was rubbed bare, and every shoulder made raw. Yet he and his army got no reward from the campaign he led against Tyre. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I'm going to give Egypt to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and he will carry off its wealth. He will loot and plunder the land as pay for his army. I have given him Egypt as a reward for his efforts, because he and his army did it for me, declares the sovereign Lord. On that day I will make a horn grow from the Israelites, so I will open your mouth among them. Then they will know that I am the Lord. So what it's talking about is what's going on with the people at the time and this campaign that's going to take place, but it's also talking about the end. It's a formula for the end. In the end, the Babylonian spirit is going to, crush all the nations of the world, okay, and the world's going to be made a desolate waste. The reason why they brought up 40 years, it goes back to the Israelites wandering through the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. It also alludes to Jesus' experience being tempted in the wilderness. There's a lot of connections here, right? Just like with Judas And the 32 pieces of silver, it connects to the idea of the Jews being called rejected silver for betraying the righteous and choosing the flesh, betraying the idea of serving God, the idea of righteous people who were screened out, and of course the righteous people were screened out. Okay. So Ezekiel 30, a lament over Egypt. The word of the Lord came to me, son of man, prophesy and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Wail and say, alas for that day, for the day is near, the day of the Lord is near, a day of clouds, a time of doom for the nations, right? So it's a day of clouds, right? Christ coming back on a cloud. We see later on in Ezekiel, it talks about how the armies of Babylon, the spirit of the armies of Babylon will be like a cloud covering the nations. And I've described it many times in Revelation that the righteous are like the sun touching the top part of the cloud or coming into the top part of the cloud, and the wicked are damaging each other as part of the shadow of the cloud, the darkness of the cloud. So it's a day of clouds where there's darkness under the cloud and there's the sun above the cloud, and the righteous are said to be gathered into the clouds. In the path of the righteous, like the morning sun, shining ever brighter to the full light of day. That's one reason I'm right. There's other reasons as well. A sword will come against Egypt, and anguish will come upon Cush. When the slain fall in Egypt, her wealth will be carried away and her foundations torn down. Cush and Libya, Lydia, and all Arabia, Cub, and the people of the covenant land will fall by the sword along with Egypt. This is what the Lord says. The allies of Egypt will fall, and her proud strength will fail. From Migdol to Aswan they will fall by the sword within her, declares the sovereign Lord. They will be desolate among desolate lands, and their cities will lie among ruined cities. Then they will know that I am the Lord when I set fire to Egypt and all her helpers are crushed. That includes the idols, right? So there's, Aswan is very much like the idea of the Jews and Jerusalem itself, right? There's an Aswan, in the sky, right? The skywalker, right? And there's a Jerusalem in the sky, and they're kind of the same thing, right? And we see that in Isaiah, I believe it is, where it says that the Egyptians are the people of God, that the Jews are the inheritance, the Egyptians the people. It's the merger of the two ideas, right? Israel is real, okay? Zion, noise, right? Keying up, right? The name of God, an authoritative martial art utterance. And the hawk spreading its wings by the wisdom of God in Job. And so when you look at these ideas in their pure form, what it meant to the ancients and the wise men of the area and so on and so forth, it all comes together a certain way here. Okay. On that day, messengers will go out from me in ships to frighten Cush out of her complacency. Anguish will take hold of them on the day of Egypt's doom, for it is sure to come. So on many levels, this is true, right? So mixed with kind of, with Cushites, with black people, with certain type of black people that fit the Cushite description when it comes to being a righteous Cushite leader like Nimrod, mixed with white and Jewish. And it has to do with the nations, how they came together in my DNA, okay? And it has to do with whoever obeyed God in the divine order, wherever they might have been from long ago. And for the most part, very few people did in the last 2,000 years. It's a long story why that is, right? There's the narrow way to life and the broad way to destruction. So when we're talking about Egypt, let's say you were dating a female who was part Ethiopian, part Jewish, and she was a very righteous woman, right? Then you would say, hey, the kind of a connection to or part of the genome of Cush and Israel will have, come together in that sense for that person. And then they would marry me in this kind of divine way. For example, say they would marry you and you were doing the right thing, then it would be like this holy union. So this is this is a key way that they're talking about the ending. And we see it in Revelation with the prostitute and the waters and the beast. And it has to do with, sexual immorality. We see that mentioned in Revelation. We see them refusing to repent. It has to do with your spiritual direction. It has to do with your conception of what you should live and die for, what you should date for, how you reproduce, who you make love to or, have sex with or whatever, right? It has to do with all these things, right? Okay. And the Bible doesn't beat around the bush when it comes to that, right? If you look at how it talks about things, it talks about breasts, it talks about marriage, it talks about sexual immorality, it talks about stories that, are very alarming. This one guy in Genesis having sex with his daughters, it talks about things in a certain way that it goes there. And I'm right about this. Okay. So where are we here? So I will put an end to the hordes of Egypt by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. He and his army, the most ruthless of nations, will be brought to destroy the land. They will draw their swords against Egypt and fill the land with the slain, spiritually speaking, figuratively speaking, also alluding to the end. Not only what's going on there, but this is the pattern we see, right? That it's referred to as the most ruthless of nations, the most demonic of nations, okay, when it goes into rebellion. It gets a little confusing because at one point they speak of Nebuchadnezzar in a way that's like praising him or something, right? But over time, he does the wrong thing in the story. So we see that if we look at Isaiah and Jeremiah and Ezekiel, and we look at these things very carefully and see what they're saying about Assyria and Babylon, and we see that is the pattern that's being used, the formula that's being used here. Okay, and of course it connects to Revelation. Now there's all kinds of idiots who say all kinds of stupid stuff, right? It's like a witch, a witch is shallow. A scribe and a sage, they're shallow. A martial artist is not shallow. So when I'm talking about this, I know what I'm talking about. When they're talking about it, they're talking about like some kind of fairy, witchcraft, homosexual or something. They don't know what they're talking about. Everyone knows. I'm sure you know that. So let's just keep going here. I will drop the waters of the Nile and sell the land to an evil nation. By the hand of foreigners, I will lay waste the land and everything in. I, the Lord, have spoken. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I will destroy the idols and put an end to the images of Memphis. No longer will there be a prince in Egypt, and I will spread fear throughout the land. I will lay waste Upper Egypt, set fire to Zoan, and inflict punishment on Thebes. I will set fire to Egypt. Pelusium will writhe in agony. Thebes will be taken by storm. Memphis will be in constant distress. The young men of Heliopolis and Bubastis will fall by the sword, and the cities themselves will go into captivity. Dark will be the day of Taphanes, when I break the yoke of Egypt. There her proud strength will come to an end. She will be covered with clouds, and her villages will go into captivity. Notice there's another mention of clouds here. Clouds can be a good thing for the righteous, and it's a bad thing for the wicked. So I will inflict punishment on Egypt, and they will know that I am the Lord. Pharaoh's broken arm. In the 11th year, in the first month, on the 7th day, the word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, I have broken the arm of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. It has not been bound up to be healed or put in a splint so that it may become strong enough to hold a sword. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against Pharaoh, king of Egypt. I will break both his arms, the good arm as well as the broken one, and make the sword fall from his hand. I will disperse the Egyptians among the nations and scatter them through the countries. I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon and put my sword in his hand. But I will break the arms of Pharaoh, and he will groan before him like a mortally wounded man. I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon, but the arms of Pharaoh will fall limp. Then they will know that I am the Lord when I put my sword into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he brandishes it against Egypt. I will disperse the Egyptians among the nations and scatter them through the countries. Then they will know that I am the Lord. So how will they know that God is the Lord? Well, when the actions of God, the actions of justice, the essence of justice, the essence of universal pinpoint and moral precision in the form of a spirit crushes the false idols and brings them to ruin. Because all these nations, Egypt, Assyria, Persia, Babylon, Greece, Rome, they were trying to look better than everyone else. They're trying to look majestic. Now, if you look at the world, they all look like complete idiots with no way back, and technology is preventing them from ever having a sound argument in reality. Again, in reality, regardless of if people go insane or not, in reality, that they're magically majestic. So their offspring are done, their nations are done, the planet is done. There's no way back. Now, why did that happen? Well, if you look at Ezekiel 29, Ezekiel 30, right, it's saying that there's this arrogance among them, that they've acted like monsters, a great monster lying among the streams. Right? He's fallen into the trap of sin, and he's being led away on a hook, and their sin is leading them astray. We see earlier in Isaiah, it's like Ezekiel, like 15 or so, it said God is going to speak to the rebels, Jew or Gentile alike, foreigners or Jews alike, right, through the idols and lead them astray. And that's what it's saying here in Ezekiel 29 and Ezekiel 30. Okay, that they thought that they could magically find something worthwhile on God's planet, and God allowed them to think that in order to bring them down more and to play them out so that everyone would know that God is God. Okay, whether they're an idiot or they're smart. If you look at this situation, they're suppressing my videos because it doesn't take a genius to see that I've transcended and I'm proving the glory of God. Why, they're just mere nations of the world, mere groups of the world, mere churches allowed by the governing class, and Epstein types and Donald Trump types, and just people who failed miserably in life. They didn't even understand that righteousness is greater than wealth, and they pursued wealth and they were brought down. They pursued finding their life in this world. They were brought down. They were polluted by the world, and the fruit of their pollution is extreme disgrace, shame, failure, childishness, immaturity, bad judgment, folly, you name it.